Welcome to the April 5th, 2022 episode of Reactive Consciousness, the in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I'm your host, Vice the Bold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And Dracologist. Good evening, sir.
And we have another wonderful show here. We have Dracologist in the house. We have Lotus Prince in the house.
Well, I'm in
their
house.
Their respective houses.
Yeah.
Not my house.
House. We are not, in fact, in that house.
In a house.
We are in a house.
Separately.
Yes.
Okay.
Each of us is in a house.
So, I want to kick off the show, first of all, with probably the biggest news of all, considering this podcast in particular. So, kind of a state of consciousness, if you will.
State of consciousness. You were thinking about that a while ago.
No, I actually came up with it today.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I wanted to take the moment here to tell everybody that unfortunately I've decided to end the podcast as a regular thing going forward from episode 300. That will be our last release, regular release. Corrective Consciousness this week will be on 298, so we have 2 more weeks after that of brand new Reactive and Corrective Consciousness episodes. I've been doing this, Lotus and I have been doing this podcast regularly. We only ever missed 1 week, and we played like a Classics episode, so we did have an upload that week. It's for 5.5 years.
Something
does that
like
sound
that,
right?
yeah,
or maybe 6 years. 6 years. Because we started in the summer, if I remember right. And I was in my parents' house at the time, and I was single, so a lot has changed since then. And going forward, it's going to be a little tough for me to have regular updates, and I don't want to make promises to the community that I cannot keep. So that's very important to me, and I also wanted to give some lead-up time for our regular commenters and for people that maybe are stopping in, to think about what they want to contribute to the last few weeks of the podcast. Of course, our last recording, I would love to, read everybody's best wishes and that kind of thing. I think that would be a really good thing, because we have had a really nice, tight-knit community of people that have, a lot of you have commented, like, the ones that do comment almost every week. And I'm eternally grateful that you want to contribute to this as a community-driven fun thing. Because honestly, the fan stuff was my favorite part of everything. Because it just baffles me that somebody, and I'm very thankful that somebody wants to listen to what we have to say. And values what we have to say, and is entertained by us. So, I really sincerely want to thank our community and our listeners everywhere, all over the world. We have people who listen all over the world, and we have even regular guest hosts here, from all over the world here. So we really, really, really want to thank everybody, and to give everybody a fair amount of time to leave their comments and their last pieces here, or maybe even some favorite memories, that kind of thing, if you have that kind of thing to leave in the comments for the next 2 weeks. So anything anybody wants to say really quickly, either of you?
This is the kind of thing we'll probably build up more toward, especially like just as the last couple weeks go by. So I'll hold off on my stuff.
Sure. And Dracologist, I want to give you an opportunity because this may be the last time you have a chance to speak.
Well, it's very little to say, but it's been an honor, lads. It's been an honor.
Absolutely, and we love having you on, and I'm also insanely indebted to you for creating the theme song and the outro themes.
Yeah, the audio-visual stuff, the
audio-visual stuff, and also wanting to be on the podcast and contribute. It's been wonderful having you on, and it's a huge honor to have somebody who wants to be a part of this on top of everything. So thank you so much for being on here.
Cheers. Thank you.
All right. Without further ado, we will go into regular reactive consciousness stuff here. Lotus, you actually brought this one up, and since this is kind of a topic that we have been talking about, in the video games industry and the country as a whole, we decided to talk about it.
Yeah, this is some spectacular news. I believe we talked a while ago about how Starbucks had finally gotten its first union in one particular location, and it
was in New York.
It's going to make waves. Yeah. Well, here's something even more surprising. There is now a union for Amazon, which is amazing because Amazon's one of the bigger companies in the world, and it also spent something like $4 million in change in an attempt to union bust, and now there's a union. So, fuck you, Bezos. I'm really glad to hear this news.
Yeah, I actually am. You might argue that this will result in higher prices and things like that, but I'd actually argue the exact opposite.
Yeah,
because
people say that, right? Like, in response to the minimum wage, are you gonna like it when your McDonald's burgers cost $20? Like, McDonald's will go out of business in 2 fucking minutes if burgers cost $20 immediately. Like, you can't just do that.
Well, what I was gonna say is this: if anything, if prices are a little bit higher for Amazon, they will be more in line with the competition, and they will have better competitive, a better competitive environment.
Well, and not only that, but they did just raise their prices. Like it's either this month or last month. I forgot if it was March or it's gonna be sometime this month where their Prime subscription is going up by some money, and their excuse was like costs of maintaining workers or whatever it was, which is, there's no fucking way that's true. But they're already raising their prices. Like, what the fuck ever.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of reports of abusive work environments, especially for the warehouse workers and also the people working in their logistics, dropping off your packages and things like that. So, everybody you have to think that postal workers have a union. UPS has a union. I'm not sure about FedEx, but I know UPS has one.
Do you know what it's like working at UPS? It has its UPS and DOWNS.
But anyway,
moving on.
But what I was gonna say is lots of services that you rely on have unions. Teachers have unions. Police have unions. Tons. Teamsters, actors have a union. NFL players, all sports players have unions. Supermarket workers have a union.
Yeah, and we talked about this back with the Starbucks thing. Loads of factory places have unions because we've already said this, but if it weren't for unions, we would have 7-day work weeks and small children would be working with heavy machinery. So, this is a big step. We've been taking a hit in workers' rights for a long time. It's pretty much overdue. And it's probably going to happen eventually for computer programmers, and people working basically in programming sweatshops, for Blizzard and things like that. And for EA, those people are worked way too hard, and they work mandatory overtime and all kinds of
abusive situations as well. So this is a step forward for everyone in terms of human rights. So this, especially with a big, gigantic company like Amazon, I expect if Amazon has something like this in Starbucks, Walmart will probably be next. Will be next with a union, because Walmart notoriously has busted unions for a very long time. But they are them and Costco are really big. I wouldn't bet on Costco unionizing, because they are very big on treating their employees really well.
That's the whole thing. Like Costco,
Yeah.
I was gonna say Costco is one of the more famously like good to its workers companies.
Yeah, I don't think there's a need there, because they already treat them well.
But you know what this makes me think of, though?
Wage.
But you know what this makes me think of? Back when the Waldens founded Walmart, wasn't that like a pretty cool company? And like now it isn't. Like just wait until the owners of Costco die and someone else takes over. Like something's gonna happen.
Well, Costco is a publicly traded company, so
Okay.
they aren't. It isn't. They listen to their shareholders, and their shareholders have. They are the number 2 retailer in the entire country. After Walmart.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal for the number 2 retailer to have really good employee satisfaction. They're famously one of the best companies to work for. They're up there with like Trader Joe's as like a really good company to work for. There are other places that are like that, but yeah, they famously pay well for the services that they ask you to perform, and also give good benefits, and also don't like ask. They don't ask for more than you could chew. They famously are good to their employees, so there's not a need for unionization. They're already proactively managing that. Not much more to say on that, because like there's plenty to move on here. I have to preface the first with saying that the first announcement was not one of these. April Fool's was this week, and it was us ending the podcast is not an April Fool's joke. So I will
not April 1st right now. So
yeah, we're a little past
it's
that.
It's the 4th. If I was gonna do it, I would have done it last week, leading into it. There were just some funny April Fool's Day jokes. Probably the only ones that I really wanted to mention. I don't know if any of you, either of you guys had a couple, but the Goat Simulator movie directed by Steve-O was really made me chuckle.
That's pretty good.
I think that one's really good, and also they added a genuine like horse mode to Among Us, which it was basically just a Twitter joke last year, but they actually added like horse mode to the actual game.
Sure.
This year, so as following through in the joke. So I thought that was funny.
I think there is 2 things that happened, what I was aware of that was rather peculiar. So Games Workshop.
Oh, go for it.
Games Workshop. We know Games Workshop. We love Games
Yeah,
Workshop.
Warhammer.
No,
Warhammer.
we don't. We don't love Games Workshop because they, ever since Warhammer Plus, they've been a little bit overreach. But recently, they thrown out a trailer for, and wait for it, those who know Warhammer 40k is going to be, and did not hear this, going to be maybe excited. The squads are back. Now, what are the squads for those who are not familiar with 40k? The squads are essentially space dwarfs.
Oh, okay.
They had this rather comical type of attitude toward the setting, which was not entirely grimdark, because they were a sort of easygoing race with large strings and power trikes. And Game Workshop essentially written them out from the entire continuity of the universe due to the fact that the main base was attacked by the previously established Tyranids, the giant space locust monsters that ate everything on their path, and apparently the squads were allegedly wiped out by them. But
Wow.
apparently not. And this now the thing is that this news came out in April 1st. Now, as you can imagine, everyone thought like this is cool, but this is an April's 1st joke. And then they just sent out another video going, "What? April's 1st, April's Fools? What's that?" Apparently, they're actually doing it.
That's pretty wild.
However, there was another news that there was a game from FromSoft in 40K in a 40K universe.
Oh, wow.
Jesus, that's a little ambitious considering Elden Ring came out 10 minutes ago.
Yes.
I would think that would probably be the most depressing thing ever. Actually.
Yeah, a grimdark universe with like FromSoft. That's like that's what a nightmare. And by the way, I will say, like, as ridiculously unlikely as that is, FromSoft has done licensed products before, like anime stuff like Spriggan and Another Century's episode. They have done it, but like Games Workshop, that would be freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous because that was the April Fool's
Yeah, that
joke.
was the joke. Yeah.
Nice. How about you, Lotus? Did you pick up on anything?
Not really. Just like
It was just like there wasn't anything that was like downright rude this year.
yeah, no. I mean,
which
like
is good.
Limited Run Games had another like stupid set of games for sale, but for real, like some Sega CD game that was like Kids Workshop or whatever it was.
Kids on Site, yeah.
Yeah, with like the collector's edition comes with like a little box of crayons or just 6 crayons. It's like what the fuck, but it's real. Like that's
Kids
the
on
joke.
Site is an awful FMV game. It's even worse than most FMV games, which is saying a lot.
Yeah.
Because there's barely anything to do in it.
Well, yes, it's like, well, a lot of people were saying like, oh, but I'm still waiting for Plumbers Don't Wear Ties. But yeah, Plumbers Don't Wear Ties is another game where like you choose an option and then you just sit there for minutes while they read their lines.
It's basically just a visual novel or audio novel. Yeah.
Isn't
Well,
it sad that like America only really picked up on visual novels around when like Ace Attorney and Danganronpa got
Yeah.
popular? Like we had VNs, but they were like the bottom of the barrel on the Sega CD and the 3DO. Like no wonder we hated them.
Yeah, I mean, we had JB Harrell Murder Club too, like, which is a pretty decent game. But like, and we had like I mean, some of those are like close to being adventure games. So like,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was really Ace Attorney that broke down the wall.
Yeah.
I think.
So what
you're
about
right.
Snatcher?
Snatcher's
is
like it's like kind
anomaly.
of the problem with Snatcher is that like first of all it's kind of a visual novel but it's also adventure, but the real problem is that nobody played it because the game was underproduced and was for an obscure system. Like in Japan it was everywhere, but America only got it on Sega CD. No one had a Sega CD, and if they did not own Snatcher.
Yeah,
It's a great game, but nobody had it. The people who played it probably liked it, but nobody played it.
Yeah, I would more say that visual novels didn't. I mean, we even had stuff like Princess Tomato and the Salad Kingdom. I mean, like
Another game that like, you know, like in the 2010s. Oh, that was a thing. Oh, okay, but nobody had that.
Yeah, it didn't become popular or even have like a cult following until
this
Ace
was the
Attorney.
era when people were like, but I thought games had gameplay. Like, I remember seeing, like, a couple of visual novels at Otakon back in the 2000s, and I didn't know what they were. Like, Ever 17 for PC.
Yeah,
what the
yeah,
hell is that? No one
exactly.
knows what that is. And that was, like, the guy who made the Nunnery games way before he made the Nunnery games.
Yeah, it really got bigger when Danganronpa and 999 came out. Those were like the two really
Yeah, the
big ones,
DS and the
I would
Vita,
say.
and then
Yeah.
Ace Attorney was also DS.
Yeah. So I 999 was the DS as well.
Yeah, I said that, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say that, but yeah.
Oh, and you know what the
Interesting.
funny thing is, by the way? Like, excluding 999, but Ace Ventura and Danganronpa were both
Ace
released...
Ventura.
Oh, did I say Ace Ventura? my favorite visual novel game.
But actually, Ace Ventura had a game. It was not.
Yeah, it did. But no, sorry, Ace. Wow.
That would be a really fun visual novel, though.
No, but what I had meant to say was that the funny thing is that Ace Attorney and Danganronpa were both released in America on systems that like came after the ones they were actually released on in Japan. Because in Japan, Ace Attorney was Game Boy Advance and Danganronpa was PSP.
Yeah. So,
Ace Ventura, Jesus.
Next bit of things that happened was that PlayStation now has been revamped to be PlayStation Plus Extra and PlayStation Plus Premium, and with a brand new offering, which is really, really awesome. PlayStation kind of wanted to actually compete with Game Pass. Xbox. Probably I would say the primary reason to be an Xbox owner at this point is Game Pass. Like, it's just so good. They give you access to brand new AAA games on that thing. Like right away, and you can play any game that's ever been released on that service, going all the way back. I mean, the amount of content that they allow you to access for the price is just phenomenal. But and PlayStation Now was never really that great. But this new one is really good. It's not quite as good as Game Pass. I mean, Game Pass, they confirmed that they are not going to release AAA games like day of.
Like immediately, yeah.
Which is understandable because, first of all, they're the the market leader, so they don't have to do that. And also they're not Microsoft either. Sony, for as big as they are not even close to being the size of Microsoft. So Microsoft is one of the biggest companies in the world, by a long shot. So it's up there with, Apple and Amazon. I wanted to read how this was going to work, but essentially, the PlayStation 5 will start to have access to PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games in the premium, in the premium tier.
And that's a really big deal, by the way, because as is the case with the PS3 and PS4, you have access to certain PS2 games, but the PS4 just doesn't have PS1 games, so it's going to be really refreshing to see those come back, especially if they offer a lot of the stuff that's on the PS3, because I don't know if you've looked at the PlayStation Store's PS1 and 2 library recently, but they have some very expensive stuff on there for just a few bucks.
Yeah, this is going to be great. Not only that, but there's some unusual stuff also included. I don't know if you caught this, but PlayStation Premium will also have access to PSP games, which has never been a thing.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. The closest I can think of is, again, PS3. Like, you could download PSP games via that, but like, I don't know I don't remember how many PSP games they had on there. There's some selection.
Yeah, but this is really, really awesome, and they've also alluded to adding PlayStation 3 backwards or emulation.
Yeah, I heard about that, but that's like, this might be a PS2 situation all over again, where even Sony is going to have trouble emulating those systems.
Yeah, but like, I mean, you gotta really hand it to them.
So here's the big question, and yes, you do.
You gotta hand it to them for really providing like people with first of all their legacy, which is something that they've been criticized for. One of the great things about Xbox is that they offer you can even purchase and still play your old OG Xbox games.
Yeah, well, that's kind of my concern. Is I don't know if you could purchase these things. I think you might have to be stuck to the service to play them.
Yeah, you do.
That never sits right with me.
Yeah. But I get it, and I also I understand it.
But what I was going to mention is now that we're 2 consoles ahead, here's the big question: are they gonna have a version of Drakengard 3 that fucking runs on the one system it was designed for? I don't know if you've ever tried Drakengard 3. I remember when you bought it. Did you ever try it?
No, I haven't.
There's surprising amounts of stutter, and it's not like, oh well, that's the bad PS3 port. It's a 360 game. No, it's PS3 only, and it just or not really stutter. I guess it kind of is stutter. Just its frame rate is wildly inconsistent.
Oh wow. Well, I do want to read off the plans really quick. There's PlayStation Plus Essentials, which is 2 monthly downloadable games, exclusive content, exclusive discounts, cloud storage for saves, and online multiplayer access for $9.99 a month, 60 yearly, $59.99 US dollars. And then there's PlayStation Plus Extra, which has all the same benefits, but adds up to 400 of the most enjoyable PS4 and PS5 games to access at any time. That is $14.99 monthly or $99.99 yearly, and then plus premium adds PS3 games via cloud streaming. Okay, there we go. And stuff going all the way back to PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PSP, available for streaming and download options, it says. And time-limited game trials for $17.99 and $120 yearly. And I think everybody who currently has PlayStation Plus got upgraded to Premium.
Well, that's what I heard about is people were making like a run on the store and buying like multiple years worth of PlayStation Now, so it'll roll over, so they don't have to spend literally double that for the premium version.
Yeah, well, I think PlayStation Plus also got upgraded to Premium, which is pretty cool. Not just PlayStation Now.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
Well, whatever it was, but people are banking their years now, so they don't have to pay full price later.
Yeah, exactly. Which is a smart move, honestly. And this is really especially good for me because I was lucky enough on Saturday to be able to pick up a PlayStation 5.
Oh, nicely done.
Yeah. I actually, my wife's cousin came in to visit from Michigan, and we decided to take him to like all the cool places like around us, and I took him to GameStop, and while I was there, I was talking about I wish I could pick up a PS5. I've been looking for one. If I could get a hold of one, I could buy one. And they said, oh, we actually had some this morning, but we sold out. And there's like a Best Buy like right next door, and my wife's cousin goes, hey, why don't we just head over to Best Buy? Maybe they got an allocation too. And we went over to Best Buy, and lo and behold, they had a disc-based PS5.
Good stuff.
I didn't have to buy it at GameStop and buy like one of their ridiculous bundles either. So
that is one thing I don't like. Is like pay extra for stuff you don't even want.
Yeah. No, so I just got a straight up system and a second controller and a couple games. I got Ghostwire Tokyo. I already had Demon Souls, and I got Returnal at GameStop. So I was like a pig in mud. I got all of my upgrades too, my free upgrades on all of my current PS4 games. You can go into the shop and like redeem your free upgrades. So I spent the day doing that and setting up my system, and I'm very, very happy. So I'm excited. I have I can play Yakuza Like a Dragon, the PS5 version, because it upgrades. Ghost of Tsushima has upgrade content, exclusive content. So does Final Fantasy VII remake. So I'm excited for all this stuff. So
Good stuff.
I'm looking forward to that. But moving forward here, oh yeah, you brought up this one, Lotus.
Yeah, although this is probably more relevant to your interest, but in a shocking turn of events, there's been DMCA claims on loads of Touhou content, and people think it might have actually been from the creator himself for some reason, and I'm not sure why it is.
He might be trying to lock down the license finally, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, because we've always praised the owner for like allowing like tons and tons of like fan-made stuff to be made official, because he had such an open license.
Very offhand approach.
Yeah, very weird too. No, I don't know. I literally know of nothing that is like that, where you can just go ahead and release your own Touhou game and not even ask for permission. But yeah, lo and behold, there seems to be some kind of DMCA stuff going on from him. Maybe he finally like wants to make some money off of his creation, because like the only thing that he has like direct control over and profit from are like the actual like official Touhou games that release now on Steam, but used to be like super underground. They used to only be like released at Comic Het. So yeah, crazy stuff. So
Speaking
we'll
of DMCAs, by the way, if I may
interject.
go ahead.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard, but this was a little bit of a strange sort of rampage happened, that Bungie, I think it was Bungie, that removed Destiny 2 content from YouTube.
Really? Like lore and stuff, or
no?
What is it?
Player uploaded content, I think it was.
Really? That's bizarre.
That's a very bad idea, because like a game like that needs its like community involvement, and for people to like kind of pimp it and make it seem like it's fun. Yeah, I mean,
so far
that's
there
really
was,
stupid of them.
We don't know why.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's like
maybe it's like a music thing. Is that possible?
Who knows?
I don't know. I don't think the game has licensed music in it, as far as I know.
Well, I'm sure that somebody makes the music for the game, and they probably have their own rights.
Well,
to
even
it.
if that's a thing, that doesn't take videos down. That demonetizes or possibly blocks them.
Oh, yeah, that's very strange. Well, we'll update on those if we of course find out about what's going on within the next couple of weeks. Yeah.
All right.
Next one is a happy note. So Crix, the creator of the EverDrives, who is Ukrainian and is currently a refugee. He is now living in Spain and safe. He has confirmed that he is continuing the EverDrive project and will be resuming manufacturing very soon. So that is an amazing thing, because I expected him to at least take a break.
Yeah, I was going to say take a little time off, other than the act of actually fleeing.
Yeah, like he like, you know, bolted out of there at the like the very right time. So I am very happy, because not selfishly because I love the project, but also like more so I pray for his, you know, his safety and his well-being, and also the fact that he can still run his business. I mean, I think that's a wonderful thing. So I think that's great. So yeah, I'm happy for him, and I'm happy that this is a thing that'll continue on, because his products are the best of their kind, and he's a stand-up guy on top of everything. I'm not going to get into it, but like the other one of the other companies that is prominent is not upstanding.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I'm not going to get into any politics or anything with it, but man, can you say the wrong thing at the wrong time sometimes? And they Yeah, I'm not going to get into it, but it was awful. Oh, and you had something to say about this one.
Yeah, this is super brief, but there has been a trailer released for an upcoming One Piece video game called One Piece Odyssey.
Yeah,
obviously
really
in
neat.
the Mario and Assassin's Creed universes, clearly. But apparently it's going to be like I think a turn-based RPG, maybe, which is pretty wild.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
a first.
That's really cool. I mean, and it's going to be Bandai Namco, and they make good RPGs, so
Yep.
that's pretty awesome, right?
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, speaking of One Piece, the anime I think is being delayed until the 23rd. This is crazy. So
Yeah, I heard.
Toei's recovering, but like it's going to be over a month.
Yeah, they had a
was
gigantic hack, right?
hacked. They've been hacked.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a big shame. That was very detrimental to them. I wonder what they ended up getting. It's crazy. But anyway, this is actually pretty interesting. So, Ease 8, Lacrimosa of Dana, is going to be out on PS5 in the fall. So this is not the latest Ease game. Monstrum Knox is the latest Ease game. But they are releasing a PS5 version of this PS4 game that kind of looks like a PS2 game. And also have one of the worst fated launches in recent memory, other than maybe Cyberpunk. Actually, Cyberpunk was a bigger.
Oh, was this the one with the embarrassing disaster of a Steam launch?
Like the game ran poorly on everything that it launched on.
Like the text formatting was off.
It had awful text formatting, and I think the translation was terrible on top of everything. They have since fixed everything to do with the game, but it is a decidedly low-tech game, even though it is a lot of fun, and is, Ease games are great, generally speaking. I don't think there is a bad one in all of the modern era. They're all good. And this one is a good one. It just had a very bad launch. It's good now. Hopefully on PS5 it will fare better than its previous versions, because it had a really rocky launch. The ninth game, Monstrum Nox, actually had quite a fine launch. It was fine. So, but it's interesting to hear that they are bringing over the PS5 version. It's kind of funny, because it's not a super high tech game. So like, how is that going to look any better at all? I don't know how they could, because it already it already has a stable frame rate, because there's barely any polygons. It's kind of funny. But anyway, moving on. This was a surprise. You could say this one, Lotus, because you brought it up.
Yeah, this will take 2 seconds. But you know the incredibly awesome game Hyper Light Drifter? Well, apparently they're making a follow-up called Hyper Light Breaker.
Yeah,
I played a bunch of Drifter. I need to actually beat it, but I loved it when I played it. It's because I played it at Pyro's Play, so it wasn't my copy. But that's a great game, and I look forward to seeing more from these people.
Yeah, and it's going to be a 3D game instead of a 2D overhead.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah. I don't know whether you saw the trailer or not, but
no, I made a point of not looking at it.
Oh, I just saw a screenshot.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, looks awesome. And the next thing is, this is no surprise to anybody, but the Breath of the Wild sequel has been delayed until 2023. I'm not surprised by that in the slightest, just considering, the COVID stuff going on, and also Nintendo does not release a Zelda game early. They make sure that it's perfect when they launch it. So, they did that with Twilight Princess. They delayed it and delayed it and delayed it until they...
until the Wii version came out, so they could say the Wii had a launch title. Yes, that was the reason.
No, but it wasn't just that. It was... They overhauled that game, like a couple times before it made it out of the box. So I'm sure we'll hear about, the trials and tribulations of the sequel, But considering Breath of the Wild is considered by a lot of people to be one of the best games of all time, following that up is tough. That's a very tough thing to do. So I'm sure they want to make this game very special. And all we know about it is that it is a darker in tone, which is pretty crazy considering that Breath of the Wild is a post-apocalyptic game, so it's not happy-go-lucky, really.
Is it a sequel or a prequel?
It is a sequel. The prequel is the Hyrule Warriors game.
Oh, yeah. Right.
But this is a sequel. It is supposed... people are kind of assuming that it has almost a Majora's Mask quality to it, like in tone, not in like...
Yeah, not in gameplay.
Gameplay. But the big change that we know about for sure is that it's not just one plane that we're dealing with. There is going to be stuff in the sky to deal with in this game. So it is going to...
Skyward Sword.
Yeah. Like there's going to be like floating islands and stuff that did not exist on the map before.
Question is, how are you going to travel? How are you going to go up there and travel between those?
Yeah. There's got to be some kind of flight mechanic that's going to be implemented. I mean, you could do some crazy weird stuff in Breath of the Wild, but this fit with the physics to fly around. But this will be something more mainstream that you should be able to do with a common item, I'm sure. So that will open up the dynamics of the gameplay, and so I'm really looking forward to that.
I think I heard like some sort of gaffe about this. Like, is it Breath of the Wild is delayed because developers are currently hiding the 55,000 Korok seeds all over the map.
More Korok seeds.
Yeah, more Korok seeds. Bigger pieces of shit to win at the end.
Yes.
But anyway, this next one is yours as well, Lotus. You had a lot.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of these things are going to take a second. But there's going to be a Game of Thrones, I guess, spin-off or prequel called House of the Dragon, coming out on August 21st. And I'm not going to fucking bother.
Me either.
Same.
It'll probably actually be good because it's not made by people who actively chose to sabotage the show. Like, they just straight up torpedoed their own show. The spin-off is probably going to be made by people who give a damn, but I'm out. I'm out. Sorry.
Yeah, I just don't care anymore. And I don't think anybody does.
Richer.
Yeah, right.
I think this will be one of those cases where if George R.R. Martin ever completes the series, we'll get a second more like faithful series down the line that follows the books closer and with that ending in mind, with it, whatever it happens to be. So
I think there was a snippet between what is movie and sort of series critics are talking about, that he might not be able to finish the book, but like
I wouldn't be surprised. It's been like 30 years.
Yeah.
People are very much just putting the hot poker up his ass just to do it, so...
That's probably exactly why he's not doing it. Like, shut the fuck up, leave me alone.
Yeah, he probably is.
I'm rich, I don't care, I don't have to care.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, the pressure is off of him because, like, it's already been ended in a sense, with the TV show, so he can kind of do whatever he feels like now, so... that's kind of what he's alluded to, but who knows? It might be like a Harry Potter situation where like he's working on like all of the last books at once, and they'll just release it in succession. I don't know, but
whatever.
Yeah, who cares? I don't care about Game of Thrones anymore. So I liked the first book because it was like a detective story, and that was the only time it was like that. So yeah. Moving on from that, this was very surprising. So after Lotus and I talked about this, but there was a Lotus, not a Lotus collection.
There was a Lotus collection. Wow.
Wow. Collecting all of my favorite Lodi. A favorite, a second VALOS collection is being released. We talked about this a little while back because Limited Run Games had put out a collection of physical
VALOS 1, 2, and 3.
VALOS 1, 2, and 3 for the PC Engine. And I thought that was already pretty unusual that we were able to get those. But
wasn't VALOS 3 for the Genesis?
So I was just going to say, 1, 2, and 3 have PC Engine versions, PC Engine CD versions at that. But this collection has VALOS 3 for the Genesis on it, so an alternate port, and SD or SID of VALOS, which is a chibi version of VALOS 2 on the Genesis, and Super VALOS 4. Which is the Super Nintendo one. So you actually will have all of the console versions of VALOS, of all the VALOS games.
Freaking weird.
Yeah, I did not expect this. I mean, really, the one to buy here, to buy this for here is VALOS 4, obviously. But like, if you want the Genesis versions, the PC Engine versions are better than the Genesis versions, but here they are. The good thing is the company that put this out did a cool thing, and in that they also split up the games so you can buy them a la carte. So if you they'll probably do that with the second one too. So you could probably just buy the PC Engine versions of 1, 2, and 3, and then buy 4 by itself, and not bother with the other two, because I wouldn't blame you for that if you did that. Nippon Ichi Software announced NIS Classics Volume 3, and this one is particularly exciting. The last one was Makai Kingdom and ZHP, and that one I was actually pretty excited for because Makai Kingdom is one of their best games, and it had never been ported, so I was really happy about that one. Normally I'm not too big into NIS stuff, but for Makai Kingdom, yeah, definitely. But did you see what they are releasing with NIS Classics Volume 3, Lotus?
I did not.
So they are putting on Rhapsody, which is the game that they put on PS1.
That was, PS1 game that nobody heard of until Disgaea 2 referenced it, and you're like, what?
Yeah. So one of their earliest games, and I think the latest version of that one, I think the PSP version is what they're putting on there, and that only came out in Japan previously, so they are translating that for English. And the one everybody's been waiting for a proper version, the PSP upgraded version of Lapisel. Lapisel was their first PS2 game. We got it after Disgaea, but it is their first PS2 game in Japan. It was released by Mastiff, and it was heavily censored.
I was just going to mention, did they choose not to censor half the game this time? Because the whole thing with La Pucelle is your character, Priya, is trying to become a nun, so there's religious imagery everywhere, and you're fighting demons. And they're like, well, we better censor the religious imagery in this game that's made entirely of religious imagery.
Yeah, and Mastiff essentially butchered the game when it came out, and it was heavily criticized because at the time Disgaea was a gigantic cult hit. It went to greatest hits very, very quickly for a game that no one expected to go to greatest hits. Let's just put it that way. And they put that out, and people were excited because they're like, oh, more from this company. This is going to be great. And they butchered it. It's a fine game in its own right. It's really good, but it wasn't Disgaea was one of the reasons why Disgaea was so popular is because it was funny, and the localization also went along with that.
Yeah, and the voice acting was amazing too.
Yeah, exactly. So La Pucelle did not get the same good treatment of a good localization.
Yeah. I think they kept the Japanese voice acting, which fine, but they changed a bunch of stuff around.
But this game is going to be intact. One thing that I have to really praise Nippon Ichi for is, unlike Square Enix, they tend to put out the definitive version of their game at any given time.
Yeah, Square Enix puts out like literally the worst version until fan backlash makes them make it great.
Yeah,
Here, have shitty version of Dragon Quest. Here, have shitty version of FF6 and Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, I mean, they still are releasing these pixel remasters, which look gorgeous, but they're not. They're missing the content that was added like to the later versions of it.
Yeah,
which is really a shame. They should just be putting definitive versions out with all the extra content that was ever added. But Nippon Ichi does do that, so they will do the extra legwork and be like, okay, well, the PSP version has like a couple extra things to do in it. We'll release that version on whatever console. So they have successfully done that with like every game. I am really excited and happy about that. So this is just one of those things. Like, if you were an old school Nippon Ichi fan, this is like finally coming to fruition.
Yeah, this lines up nicely for me because while I did not play these games, like, I'm not gonna buy this. Like, I'm not the target audience, but my roommate in college played the hell out of the PS2 Nippon Ichi library because that was what was contemporary at the time. I think like maybe the latest game that came out in our college years was like Disgaea 3 on PS3 or something. But like,
sure.
Man, my roommate destroyed Lapisel, Disgaea 1 and 2, Phantom Brave, Makai Kingdom. It was a good time.
Yeah, so Nippon Ichi like doesn't really like all of their in-house developed games are pretty darn good. I can't think of like a clunker.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the worst of their games is good, and even the version of Lapisel we got is still pretty good. It's just that
it was a good game.
Like
the mechanics are good and solid. It's just that they butchered the story and the artistic
yeah, like you
direction.
could even if you didn't know anything, you could tell that things had been censored.
Exactly. I mean, the game is heavily like Catholic.
Yeah, let's remove Catholic crosses from the church in the game about trying to be a nun. All right.
Yeah, I'm none too happy about that. But
anyway.
Trichologist has fallen asleep.
Almost.
Yeah,
I just don't have much to say. I only know a little bit about this, so...
Yeah, no, I gotcha.
Like you either saw them at the time or you didn't, especially
exactly.
Makai Kingdom and Pusel, because those games didn't get ported in the West until very recently.
I only know about the stories of like I heard the concepts of these games.
Yeah.
I know about this guy as a series, but individually I didn't know much about them.
It's funny because the whole thing with this guy is you're playing as demons in the underworld and trying to cause havoc, whereas in Pusel you're one of the human like good guys, but you have the potential like there's a bad version of like all these games have bad endings, which are like improper endings. They're almost like glorified game over screens, and you can get like corrupted in Lapisel and in Disgaea, which came out before Lapisel. One of the characters you can recruit is like a dark version of the character from Lapisel. And then we actually played Lapisel. We're like, oh, that was her. She's the main character. Damn.
Yeah. And if you had to play them all in order, it would have been more impactful, I'm sure, right?
Oh, so, yeah. It would have been like, oh, she's here and she's like a demon when she's not in her game. Oh, shit, something happened. And like, I don't think that's supposed to be canon or anything. It's just like a fun thing. Because Disgaea, like those games love having Laharl from Disgaea 1 as a recruitable character like as often as possible, so it's more like a trope than the actual story progression. Yeah,
exactly. Well, moving on from that, Lost Judgment is getting a series of DLC added to it.
I don't think it's a series of DLC as far as I know. I think it's just a DLC.
Oh, a DLC. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's called the Kaito Files, so it sounds like, oh, there's more than one. But no, it's kind of like in Yakuza Kiwami 2, there's like an alternate mode of play where it's like, what was Majima doing during this time? So Lost Judgment has the Kaito files where I don't know when it's supposed to take place, but you play as Kaito, who's Yagami's like brute force buddy guy who hangs out with him a bunch of times. He's an ex-Yakuza from the Tojo clan, and he's here to help, but he's Mr. Strong Guy. Like, Yagami's got pretty good maneuverability and a lot of like multiple strikes kind of thing, and Kaito's the kind of guy who's like, no, fuck this shit, and he just punches the guy in the face and he's just out. Like, he's that guy. So there's a mode where you play as him now, and apparently it's very good.
Awesome.
He's the bruiser.
He sure is. Yeah, I mean, he was a thug in the Tojo clan, and now the Tojo clan is not what it used to be, so he's he just hangs out with Yagami, and he's just the brute force guy. Like, he is a nice guy, but like, you could definitely tell that he remembers where he came from, and he has a different way of thinking from how everyone else does, because he actually has experience being in the Yakuza. Like, Yagami hung out with the Yakuza family, but was never in the inner circle because he's not one of them. It's just he was kind of, sort of, like mentored by like one of the older men in one of the families. But Kaito was actually out there just kicking ass on the streets, and now he's with Yagami.
Nice. Moving on from that, this is one that you brought up, Lotus.
Yeah, this was a surprise update. Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night, has gotten an update. Now, it already has multiple forms of play, like where when you type in your name at the beginning of the game. If you type in your name Zangetsu, you can play as Zangetsu now, because that mode has been added. Well, there's a new
mode unlocked.
Yeah, exactly. But now there's a new one. You can play as Aurora, who is the character from Child of Light, which I believe was a Vita game.
Well, it went to other things as well.
It did.
But it was a game made by Ubisoft, and it was a really fun game. It was actually really good.
Yeah, and
very underrated.
Now she's playable in Bloodstained, which is pretty wild. So we got more crossover. So if you ever wanted to go back to Bloodstained, like there's a whole new way for you to experience it.
Yeah. Is there still more content to come, or
I don't know. I wasn't even expecting this. I thought Zangetsu was gonna lock it out, but I guess not.
They must have really hit their sales quota on this game, because they just keep pumping out like free content for it. So
yeah, that is a good point. Like, this isn't DLC. That this is a patch. Like, just type in her name and play the game.
And this wasn't even like something they were obligated to do. This wasn't something that they promised. So
yeah, she's not even from Bloodstained. Like, this is a whole different product.
Yeah. So that Bloodstained is the game is the thing that keeps on giving. I absolutely love this project. I love all three games. Like, I know two of them are remakes, but they're awesome. I
still gotta play stuff. Curse of the Moon 2. I have now, like, I didn't go for all the endings or anything at Curse of the Moon 1, because old school Castlevania really isn't my thing. But I beat it once. I platinum Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, and I gotta just see what happens in Curse of the Moon 2.
Oh, I wanted to bring this up because I don't think I'll have another opportunity to bring it up, because it was one of those things that was really, really funny. I picked up Infernax. I picked it. I talked about it a couple weeks ago, I believe. And it's a game that is in the style of like Castlevania 2 and Adventure of Link, but kind of has some Dark Souls-y elements. We talked about that, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. I went to this. There's a section of the game that is a cemetery, and it looks like it dead ends in a very familiar looking dead end. And I knelt down just to kind of see what
and waited
would
for 3
happen.
minutes.
I didn't wait for 3 minutes, but it was like a good 10 seconds. You know, like it was a pregnant pause.
Yeah.
And I was carried away by a tornado, just like it happens in Castlevania 2, the famous graveyard duck. But in this, it's a game over screen. It said, "Little did you know that you would be carried away by a tornado and completely torn asunder."
That should just kill you.
It straight up picked me up and tore me limb for limb.
That's pretty good.
In a very violent death. I laughed very hard.
I think there is another similar reference to Castlevania. That if you eat the wall chicken, you die.
The what?
The wall chicken.
Oh, the wall chicken.
That is,
awesome.
I mean, like, there's a lot of stuff like that, like in beat 'em ups. It's like you shouldn't be eating that.
It came
like,
out
did you ever see that image of did you ever see that image of like fan art of Earthbound from like it's looking up from a trash can's perspective with like a burger in it, and you see Ness looking at it with this giant smile on his face, and all of his teammates are like looking at him like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
It's amazing.
Because in Earthbound, you actually can find like a burger in a trash can. It's like, yes. It's like, really though.
That just reminds me of. Oh, go ahead.
There was that similar thing what did with I think BioShock Infinite when you eat stuff out of the trash can.
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing?
My favorite one like that's kind of like that is the Kingdom of Loathing, West of Loathing game. Like, there's a spittoon, and it really doesn't want you rifling through it, and it's like, dude, do not do this, like, please don't. But it kind of like keeps it has a different dialogue box every time you do it, and you're like, okay, there's something here. And so like it gets grosser and grosser and grosser, and finally you find like a really shitty ring in it.
There you go.
It's really funny. But anyway, good stuff. So this next one is yours as well. Actually, the next couple ones are yours.
Yeah, so Chrono Cross, The Radical Dreamers, the upcoming version that's going to come out, is apparently going to have like redone music, which we knew. But apparently we had thought, or they had said, or whatever, that we get to choose the soundtracks, like old versus new, but apparently we don't. I think it's just going to be the new version, which I would have liked to at least been able to choose the old version. Kind of a shame, but what are you gonna do?
But with Square Enix, they tend to have like really good orchestrations when they do this kind of thing. So
yeah, they do, but I would still like to see what the original Radical Dreamers experience is gonna be. It's like Live Alive. It's like remaster only. Like, okay.
I gotcha. Oh, and this next one.
Yeah, this is a riot.
Shuffle.
Bill Clinton, former U.S. president, Bill Clinton, shows up in like a portrait or a painting or something in Guilty Gear in Chip's stage, because Chip is the president, which is fucking funny. But like this is a joke because when the original...
Isn't he like the really short guy?
Chip? No, that's Cliff. Chip is the American ninja.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's been around. But the joke here is that when the original Guilty Gear came out for PlayStation 1, I think one of the advertisement things, I forgot if it was an ad or if it was on the cover.
It was an ad.
Okay, yeah, this is something that I don't think would make sense in Japan, but it was like kill your friends guilt-free or something, which that's not even really the vibe of the game, but like Bill Clinton picked up on that quote, and he was like, this is unbelievable, like I can't even believe. So like as a joke, now
Moral
he's just
Panic video game.
Yeah, now he's in the game, like take that.
Yeah,
that's very funny.
I can't believe it wasn't an April Fool's joke. Like, this is a real thing.
Yeah, Bill Clinton is just in the new Guilty Gear, which is doing gangbusters because they just keep pumping out awesome stuff.
But this next one is actually pretty awesome. So a Neo Geo Pocket Color game just dropped on Switch, another one, and one I didn't expect. And I didn't realize was a Neo Geo Pocket Color game at first, because they didn't advertise it as such. But Big Bang Pro Wrestling, I think it's the only pro wrestling game on the system. But like most of the games are great. So I'm sure this is a pretty fine one. But I did not know that this game existed. Actually, I kind of overlooked it. So it's kind of embarrassing considering I know a lot about that system, and like I thought I knew what basically every game was, and there's a pro wrestling game that I didn't know about, and they're releasing it. They released it on Switch with all of the same great emulation that they did with all the other games, and you could play it 2-player on a single screen, just like you should be able to. So yeah. the great Neo Geo Pocket Color releases continue on Switch, so I'm excited about that. Also, a really cool, I don't know how good it is, but a cool looking homage game to Contra came out called Super Cyborg. It looks very much like a ripoff of Pro Protector, like the robot European version of Contra. And so, like...
Super Cyborg.
What was that?
Super Cyborg.
Yeah, Super Cyborg, yeah. I am really looking forward to playing it. I picked it up on Switch. It looks like a really awesome homage to Contra.
It's a pretty good game, if a little bit more minimalistic with the graphics, but it has some really monstrous boss fights.
Yeah, it looks like it's more in the style of Contra and Super C rather than Contra 3 like Blazing Chrome would be. Blazing Chrome is more in the style of hardcore and Contra 3. So this is a welcome addition to the run and gun gamut. So I'm really looking forward to those bosses that you're talking about. That looks like fun. Is that out on Steam as well?
I think so.
Yeah, because it looks like you know a little bit about it, so I wouldn't be surprised. Also, I saw like an interesting article on Kotaku about like somebody made like the original Doom but with ray tracing, and it looks insane. Just like with all of the like shadow and light effects. It's just interesting to look at.
Everything is dark. Everything looks like
everything is dark. You're right.
We are in the Doom 3 timeline, boys.
It's just kind of fun to look at, though. I wouldn't want to play it that way, but it's kind of like a fun experiment, if you will. Especially when the BFG goes off. That's pretty fun. But I just wanted to mention that real quick. People are still modding Doom, man. God bless them.
If I may interject, I recently saw Doom one level WOD, but you can see that some people put effort into the custom maps. There's a custom WOD called Countryside, with the pun of country and CID.
Oh, like genocide or whatever, yeah.
Well, the Latin word for kill, to kill.
For kill, yeah, exactly. That's awesome.
And it's a sort of this, what is it called? This countryside gothic sort of cult thing.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I need to check that out. I always like the new Doom WODs.
There is a few similar like this, like Trenchfoot and similar, where like they put effort into to look like the setting is consistent.
Awesome. Can't wait for that. To take a look at that. Oh, and this one, the next three are yours, Lotus.
Yeah, a bunch of these. This is utterly shocking, but apparently there was going to be a certain video game made that never quite made it there, but the ROM has recently been released. There was going to be a Gex Jr. So the thing is,
was it going to be voiced by Dana Gould's son?
We can only hope so. Now the thing is not like perfectly fixed. Like it just came out in the state that it's in, but it's playable. Like you could run around in a room. I think that's probably about as good as it gets, but as good as it gets. But but like you're a little junior Gex, and I think you still have wisecracks. It's absurd.
Yeah, who wanted this? Nobody. And that's why they canned it.
Next update, real quick, is for Attack on Titan. I learned something that I found kind of frustrating. The series has been amazing, but the thing is with the final season, there's season 4, final season, part 1, and now we're coming to a close, final season, part 2. But what I did not realize is that there's going to be a fucking part 3 to the final season. Like, could we just fucking end it? But this is going to be in 2023 at some point. But like, god damn it, just finish it.
They're torturing you.
You're splitting the final season into 3? Really?
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
That's bananas. I've heard of 2, but not 3.
Yeah. And then another thing is a trailer has come out for Samurai Rabbit, the Usagi Chronicles. So it's not Usagi Yojimbo, but I think it's supposed to be the descendants of the various characters from it. And it's this CG look, so you have characters that kind of look the same, but have kind of differing personalities because they're not the same characters. Honestly, I mean, it looks gorgeous, but like I'm not really into the vibe, just the general attitude of the characters, because Usagi is like a very sober character a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And this is like cool kid stuff, like, not really interested. But it's cool to see Usagi getting like really more mainstream.
I don't understand why you wouldn't start with the main, like a telling of some of the tales of the main character. First,
really,
because he's well known in like indie comic book circles, but that is well known in indie comic book circles. Like he's not well known. He's not mainstream. I mean, you might have people that kind of remember him from an episode of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I was just going to mention he's crossed over with the Ninja Turtles a couple times in comics, and like maybe once in the show or something. Like, was another anthropomorphic character? Is he a Ninja Turtles character? No, that was a wink, but yeah, his series is really, really good.
He did have his own action figure with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Though,
yeah, which looks pretty terrible, by the way. It doesn't look really like anything like him.
Yeah, it's really bad. I recently was thinking about trying to like acquire one, and then I looked at it. I was like, oh, it doesn't even look like him.
Yeah, I had one. I had one when I was a kid, and it's just.
Yeah, nah. Read the comics, folks.
You really do. It's brilliant.
Yeah. No time better than right now to actually read those comics because they are all available. Like you can get the hardcovers of the original. Ones and right now, and you can also buy all the Dark Horse ones which came afterwards pretty darn easily, so definitely do that. And moving on to some bummer news. If people have been watching Red Letter Media over the last like month or so,
that's about right. 3 weeks or so.
People have been the story had been developing. They were making fun of some really bad like direct to video, direct to Redbox kind of movies. Yeah, direct to streaming kind of movies that Bruce Willis has been putting out.
Yeah, because he's been in like a movie every like 10 minutes. Like he's releasing like 8 movies in a year, and he's only actually in the movies for like 10 minutes, and there's a lot of stunt replacement of like back of head talking to him and stuff like that.
Yeah, lots of ADR, lots of like barely acting kind of things going on, and there's even some like bad production stuff going on with them. Like they're not even like covering up like an earpiece that they have in his ear. Feeding him lines. So they were like noticeably making fun of them because it's like he doesn't need to do this. Like he still has a good name. Like, what's he doing?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, they assumed it was like another Steven Seagal, where he's just phoning in every performance. Yeah.
So, people then kind of brought up that they were speculating that he might have like a medical issue.
There was a lot of that in the comments. They're like, this might not be as funny as you're making it out to be. So the following week, Red Letter Media put out another video where they discussed that. They're like, yeah, we did hear that might be a thing, but everywhere we hear it, it says it's rumor or I heard about, so we don't know if it's actually true. So, like...
If so, we're sorry.
We're sorry, but if not, then, like, what are you going to do? Like, we don't know for sure, and I don't think there's going to be a way to tell for sure. But then the following week, it was actually confirmed, yes, he is suffering from aphasia and is going to be retiring from acting because he just can't do this anymore.
Yeah, so for those of people that don't know, it's a cognitive disability that affects his comprehension of language and formation of language too.
Yes, well, and that was the thing, because in his movies, like you said, an earpiece. So it's like, oh, is he getting his lines phoned in because he doesn't feel like even bothering to learn them? But it's like, no, it's because he literally cannot remember them, which is why his acting might also be a little jank, because it's just like, just say the thing, it's fine, just go.
Yeah, so what it seems like is he was trying to do as much acting as possible to get as much money as possible in a short amount of time while he still had enough energy.
Yeah, I think it was like for his family or something.
For his family.
Because like, he's got money.
And probably to help for any care he might need if he, as he, he'll probably get worse from here. I mean, that's the assumption, right? Because as you get older, you don't get better from a thing like that. So it's really a shame because he's a beloved actor, and you hate to see somebody suffer from something like that, and you kind of would like people to go out on top as they always were, but unfortunately, that's the way life goes sometimes. You kind of you get problems as you get older. So it's a really big shame because he's in a lot of beloved stuff, and so much so that we will actually be talking about some of our favorite stuff that he's done in Corrective later on in the week. But heart goes out to Bruce Willis and his family, of course. It's a big shame. It's a big shame. And the last two are yours, actually.
Yeah, and these last two are also downers. First of all, rest in peace to Fame, which, if you're not familiar with who that is the creator of the video game Coffee Talk, which is a super laid-back and just engaging experience. Think of it like the game Valhalla. It's not spelled Valhalla, it's spelled with like ones and shit, but where instead of a bartender, you're I guess barista. Like you're working behind the counter at a coffee shop. And the whole thing with the game is just customers come in, you talk to them, and you learn a bit about their lives, and it's just vibing the game, kind of. And it's just really, like, interesting and intimate conversations. And it's sad to see him go. And
absolutely.
The other is, rest in peace, Estelle Harris, who is famous for voicing Mrs. Potato Head in the Toy Story movies, and for playing George Costanza's mom in Seinfeld. She was 93, like, this makes life. More sense. It's just a bummer to see her go, but, like, man, she was funny.
Oh, yeah, I mean...
as Mrs. Costanza, she's a freaking lunatic. It's amazing.
I saw a really good retrospective of, like, the original actor who played George's father. He played George's father for like one episode, and they took him out and replaced him with Jerry Stiller. And Estelle Harris was talking about how they both really played off each other really well.
They sure looked it, and they're both insane. Yeah. They both just go off. It's great.
Yeah, and honestly, as an Italian American, I know this family dynamic very well of two people that love each other but also really hate each other. My grandparents and my in-laws are like this.
Like I was watching some clips last night that just like feature her just like with Jerry Stiller, and they're talking about Jerry Stiller's lawyer wears a cape. Like who wears a cape? Well, he's a trendsetter.
Larry David.
He wears what he wants. And Mrs. Costanza's like, it looks awful. Well, yeah, you just don't know fashion. I don't know fashion. Like it's freaking great, and it's just like they're about to just explode before George has to hastily change the subject. It's freaking amazing.
You're treating his body like an amusement park.
You should go to Madison Square Garden. Everyone will watch you all the time. You'll be a really big star. He's like, all right, Ma, it's enough. He just keeps going with it.
That was your Hiroshi voice.
Oh God. It's so funny. Like,
get back up.
Like, look what I found in my bed. What's this? A rubber prophylactic? Like, and Jerry just leaves the room immediately.
You have me sleeping in urine?
Yeah, I can't sleep in that bed anymore. Why not? Of course you can. I can't. It's like, it just feels like a stage play acting at that point. It's great.
Yeah, no.
She is a riot.
Yeah, all the actors on that show were just amazing, and Jerry Stiller is.
Mr. and
just
Mrs.
so
Costanza
phenomenal.
really stand out.
Yeah, they both they have such a realistic, like they just like two people that bicker constantly and
It's
yell
great.
constantly at each other. And
I saw somebody
I'm telling you,
comment-
this is a thing. This is like in Italian American families. We're not all like this, but there is that.
I saw somebody commenting on this where it's like George Costanza himself. Like, how does a guy like this exist? And then you see his parents, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. It's really funny. Festivus for the rest of us. Yeah.
I've got grievances, and you're gonna hear them, or whatever he said.
I've got grievances with you people.
Yeah. You're grounded.
I love it.
As long as you live in this house, you follow the rules. You're grounded! So, Jesus. You can't ground me. I'm a grown man.
She was she outlasted both Jerry Stiller and Don Rickles.
Yeah.
Who was Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah, both of her, like, in-universe husbands.
Yeah. But it's sad to see her go. But she had a good long life and an accomplished one. So good on her for being as great as she was. All right, and anything else for the good of the order, Dracologist? Do you have anything else you wanted to add for the good of the order here?
Well, adding to the band line of things that are said, that I think that the original writer of the Fallout series has died.
Oh,
really?
I didn't hear that. That's a shame. I really love the Fallout series, especially 3 and New Vegas. New Vegas.
No,
especially.
not that one. The early one, the isometric easy ones.
Okay, the one.
Oh, like
one and
actually
two.
OG, I wanted to, and maybe Tactics.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame.
Otherwise, I don't know. Maybe I can say that like I reached the end of the early access part of the Mass Builder, so hooray for that.
Yeah. I always love it when a game finally switches from early access to like.
No, I mean
1.0.
like I reached the end content.
Oh, you beat it. Gotcha.
There is more to come. Just be patient. It's a good game, and they altered a couple of things in it. Now your mech is no longer that flimsy.
Well, that's good.
I wish there would be a few mechanics added, like ability to sell your resources off for money. That would be nice, but otherwise it's a really good little game. If you like modeling like Gunpla stuff, but you can't afford it, I recommend it because it's a good substitute. And you can play around with your mechs with fighting giant monsters.
Wow. Oh, that sounds like fun. A lot of customization. Sounds like.
Yep, it's basic. Again, it's Gunpla basically, when you can custom build your little robots.
That's pretty awesome. I always love stuff like that. I also like looking at what people put together as well. That's probably my jam when it comes to stuff like that. So, anything for the good of the order, Lotus, on your end?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, that is the show for this week. Please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and SoundCloud, please. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps us promote and spread awareness of the show for a show that won't be lasting 2 more episodes. You can also catch us on Thursday for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. Again, we'll be talking about Bruce Willis. And finally, you can friend me as Vise the Bold, and please do on all the social media and all the other places, because this is how you can keep in contact with me. So thank you.
And you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
And you can find me on Steam, Discord, and on Skype under the name Dracologist. Goodbye.